we'll get going this morning on behalf of the Sandbox Center. Welcome to our Experts in Residence session, Digital Marketing and E-commerce, featuring today's experts, NetGain SEO and Central Ontario Broadcasting. For those who haven't been acquainted with me or the Sandbox, my name's Mackenzie. I'm one of the 6 team members. We're located downtown Barrie and online to connect people and their ideas to business resources so that they can create a better life through business. Sandbox is proud to acknowledge that we are positioned on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, which include the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge the Wendat Nation who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. We're committed to educating ourselves and our community on the importance of honoring the first occupancy of this land while also supporting with actionable steps toward reconciliation. So if you haven't attended one of our Experts in Residence sessions before, we're happy to have you with us. And for those returning, welcome back. I saw a lot of new names registered for this session, so I was super excited to see that. Across a wide variety of topics and expertise, our EIR program provides a free all-access opportunity for you to share and receive expert feedback in order to support your business moving forward with greater clarity. Now, the holiday season is about to be in full swing, which is crazy. And whether you already have a marketing strategy or promotional campaign in the queue, or you're still in planning mode, you've definitely come to the right place today. About a month ago, I actually participated in an online session all about honing your holiday message and how tapping into the consumer mindset truly differs, but the way it can be conveyed through the power of storytelling can make the biggest difference for your business. And after leaving that session buzzing with inspiration, I thought, how can Sandbox bring something similar to our business community and leave feeling the same way that I did? So I connected with 2 awesome people who have expertise in creating effective strategies for building buzz, attracting customers, and much, much more. Who are they? Daryl Woytowicz and John Arruda are here today. Daryl is the sales manager of NetGain SEO. He helps businesses attract new customers through powerful web marketing strategies. For over 12 years, NetGain has specialized in digital marketing in Barrie. And John Arruda is the client success manager at Central Ontario Broadcasting, which you may also know as Barrie 360, Rock 95, and Cool FM locally. He has been in the radio business since 1991 and has worked with hundreds of clients, helping them use radio advertising to grow their businesses, tell rich stories, and connect on an emotional level. Like I said, you've come to the right place today. So before we dig right in, I'd just like to thank our community partners for sharing our events, and a huge thank you to our partners NetGain and Central Ontario Broadcasting for delivering today's session. If you have any questions that pop across your mind during this session, we encourage you to use the Q&A feature. That's just at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be sure to answer them towards the end of the session. So without further ado, let's get into the goods. Daryl and John, welcome and good morning. I'm going to hand it over to you to get us started.
Thanks so much, Mackenzie. Yeah, we're glad to be here. Now, if you weren't in the holiday spirit yet, you will be by the end of this presentation.
Let's hope, yes.
Hey, so John, we put up the Christmas tree at the office the other day. I'm just wondering, was that too early? Or
I mean, everything's early, and you're going to see that. I mean, it's already started. It's getting earlier and earlier. So yeah, do what you do.
There we go. So yeah, just by way of introduction, thanks again, Mackenzie, but I'll let John introduce himself. And
well, Mackenzie, you did a great job. Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. And you know, I just, as a member of the Sandbox Central Ontario Broadcasting, we're super proud to be involved. We're really happy to be able to connect with other businesses, other organizations. It's such a great opportunity to connect the Sandbox. It's such a great idea. We knew it from the beginning. That's why we're proud founding media partners. So, and I'm also really happy to work with Daryl today on this presentation. We've known each other for a few years and collaborated on a few things. So I just love learning about customers' needs and wants, and just you know, trying to tell interesting stories and move the needle for businesses.
Thanks, John. Yes, and I'm Daryl, again from NetGain. Mackenzie did a nice job sort of filling in the blanks. A couple of things you might not know: we are a platinum sponsor at the Sandbox. Of course, we've got a strong affiliation with the Chamber, who is also promoting this podcast today, or this session today. And we're actually up for Small Business of the Year on the Chamber of Commerce Awards, and that hopefully will bring home some hardware on Monday. That would be a nice early Christmas present.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what we're going to go through today, we've got a lot of really interesting data insights, and we're going to be able to go through what you can do to stand out during the holidays, what sort of promotions work best during the holiday season, and what consumer trends are saying about consumer activity and behavior this holiday season as opposed to others.
Yeah, there's a few other things we'd like to go over. Certainly thinking back to last year, we had that massive acceleration and just widespread adoption of e-commerce. Is that going to continue this year? And if so, how big is like in-store shopping going to be? I know there's a real cross section of people listening to this presentation today. Some may be retail, some may be other type, but is there going to be face-to-face interaction? We're going to find out. And for those of you that are serving the business-to-business market, don't worry, you're in the right place. We're going to talk about that as well.
So we're going to go back about 12 months and take a look at what happened in holiday 2020. Obviously, consumers stayed home in droves. Everyone was hunkered down. We had significant change in behavior that everyone was adapting to on the fly without really any planning. And there was an acceleration, unprecedented acceleration in e-commerce.
Yeah, and just thinking about just that e-commerce, a couple of things that strike me. Back in 2017 or 2018, I think like things that people would never have thought of buying online, like a vehicle. I think it was maybe 1% of all car sales were done online. And in that first quarter of 2020, it was like up to 10% of vehicles being purchased online. Groceries is another great example. Who would have thought about buying groceries online? So a lot of you may have products or services and may have dabbled in e-commerce, and then the pandemic hit, and suddenly that was your lifeline. And for those of you in retail or bricks and mortar that are used to some sort of face-to-face interaction, people weren't using your store that way, were they? They were, instead of browsing, they were using it transactionally, just as a pickup point for whatever it was that they purchased online.
I mean, honestly, Daryl, the pandemic has probably increased like the progress of e-commerce probably by 5 years, if that hadn't happened.
Yeah, it's remarkable. There was 10 years of growth in that first quarter of 2020. So yeah, just thinking back to to how things were last year.
So we have some data here from last year's holiday revenue, and this is by day, and this is from Salesforce. And you can see that we're in the midst of the buying season right now for Christmas. If this year is anything like last year, 2020, you see the end of November, that's where the peak hit for all holiday spending. Then it plateaued throughout December. And then just like, Canadians do, Boxing Day has a big hit again. But you can see there's not really a big jump just before the holidays. The big jump happens probably, if this follows, in the next week or two that we're in currently.
Yeah, I love the Canadian aspect to this chart, and all this data is Canadian, that Boxing Day. But what was remarkable to me, John, is the lead up. Black Friday wasn't really a thing that we recognized, 5 years ago.
Yeah, in Canada, yeah.
Yeah, and suddenly here we are. I mean, of course, that's the lead up to the American Thanksgiving with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And clearly the data shows is that consumers are expecting big Black Friday promotions and sales, and that's when a lot of that shopping happens.
And they want them earlier. They don't want to wait till Black Friday. So that's now why obviously retailers and marketers are featuring Black Friday month. And
it's remarkable.
It's starting in October now. It's just Black Friday all the time. So they're really trying to capture the excitement of people's perception of savings for Black Friday, obviously, and it's one way to do it.
Yeah, this is a screenshot from Best Buy's website just earlier this week, and it's Black Friday is no longer a day or even a week. It's like the entire month is a celebration of Black Friday. And again, the chart that you showed earlier, John, it reflects that, right?
Right.
Canadian consumers, while we have our Thanksgiving a little bit earlier than Americans, we're happy to adopt. I will see. We'll have to see if Americans adopt Boxing Day or not.
Well, and I mean, from the Google study, that the data we've got, it does definitely shows that 44% of people say they do plan to start holiday shopping earlier than last year. So will that trend continue?
That whole
There
graph
might be
you were showing is going to shift the other way with people starting earlier and earlier.
And there may be some considerations for that that are unique to this year too, with our supply chain issues and different factors. But that's the data we've got to work with for this year, for sure.
Yeah, there is that scarcity, which I think is on everyone's mind, and that the supply chain issue you were mentioning, it affects such a cross section of different products, right? So people don't want to be disappointed, so they're placing their orders early. You know, John, I think there's another component too. It's just that pent up demand.
Yeah.
People, you know, restrictions are loosening. People want to get out.
Absolutely.
So sorry, John. I was just going to say, like, just so you know, as we've learned, last holiday season was unique, and this one is not going to be a carbon copy of 2020. Things are going to change, and we're going to talk about that. But you know, I'm so glad that you've decided to join us this morning, because we're going to find out what those changes could be. And just by being plugged into that, you're in a better position to take advantage of how this holiday season shapes up.
And we definitely know that e-commerce probably won't continue the acceleration that it did last year, but it has permanently stabilized at a very, very high rate, meaning your web presence, your e-commerce strategy is super important. If you don't have one, you need to get one. You know, there are retailers out there. We've got an example of a local retailer that has been in business and at the same location since 1958. But they realize how important web traffic is to them to build for their future. So, you know, they've created an ad specifically for their website, just to drive traffic to their website. And that's all the ad does. So that's this kind of strategy some people are taking. And, you know, we've got that here. We'll just show you an example of the ad just to break things up and give you some audio here.
Why does Bill LaBeouf Jewelers website, BillLaBeoufJewelers.com, get thousands of daily views from all around the world? Because their vintage estate collection is sublime. If you love jewelry and fine watches, you can spend hours browsing unique, exquisite pieces, all with thoughtful descriptions and impeccable detail. It's a definite kid in a candy store situation. Visit BillLaBeoufJewelers.com and feast your eyes. Bill LaBeouf Jewelers, a proud family business in downtown Barrie since 1958.
So, you know, they're just driving people online. They know that there's going to be a lot of consumers out there that are not going to want to go out and participate yet in real life. There's a big chunk of people still that want just the online shopping experience, or, you know, at least doing research online is part of it as well, right?
That's a remarkable story. You know, bricks and mortar for over 50 years or 60 years, or help me with the math on that.
Yeah,
but,
60.
you know, and now they're promoting, don't come and see us, go online.
That's right.
Remarkable. So, you know, I talked about that pent up demand earlier, and, you know, we certainly in Ontario have loosening restrictions. So people are thinking about getting back, and, you know, the question is, are they going to go back in store, or are they going to be exclusively buying products and services online?
Well, I think the people that are craving that online experience, Daryl, they want an experience. You know, that's what they've missed. And that's why they want to go back to brick and mortar stores, in-person shopping. They want the sensation of trying things, seeing things, you know, so I think that's definitely driving it. And that's on the marketers and the retailers and the business people to create those unique experiences that are going to engage people and get them to do business with you.
Yeah, and you can just see here from this studies that, you know, like the overwhelming majority of people are ready. Like, there's not that much hesitancy to go back into that in-store environment. So yeah, people are looking for that.
You know, people are going to be a lot more savvy, you know, about what they do and where they go. So, you know, it's important to know that the combination of online and in-store works together. They're not separate entities, so they should complement each other. Your brand online should be a reflection of your brand in real life, for people to have that seamless experience, so it meets their expectations. So that's really the key, is getting those two pieces to jive well and complement and grow each other.
And don't think for a second, because you know, you're traditionally like a face-to-face or people ordering over the phone or coming to your place of business to make a purchase, don't think that they aren't checking you out online. So we call those digital touch points. And the overwhelming majority of shoppers are going to use some sort of digital touch point. And that's regardless of how they end up purchasing, whether they phone in an order or come and see you or buy the product right from your store. And so what are those touch points? And there's a lot of them. I mean, obviously checking out your website is an important one, but also they're going to be reading reviews, online reviews, and those online reviews can come from a variety of sources, whether it's Google or Yelp, Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, they are absolutely going to be checking out your social profiles. So they're going to be researching your competitors. So if your competitors have a better looking site and are doing a better job on social and have better reviews, that might sway them away from you. So just be aware that regardless of what that final purchase looks like, they will be at some point along the line of their shopping experience, checking in on your digital profile and presence.
So what is driving people to go back into the in-store experience? It's that immediacy of purchase. You pay your money, it's in your hand, done. It's convenience, it's product evaluation, it's being able to try things on, test them out, feel them, experience them. That's got a lot of value for people. So you've got to definitely provide that in store. Having a human interaction that's safe and friendly and fun. And people do want to support local. That's a huge part of the motivation to get into stores locally, is to support the local economy, because people do realize more and more the impact that it has when people do support their local businesses. It means their communities thrive and grow. So, that message is coming through, and there's a lot of entities that are jumping on board with that message and supporting the message of support local. And I think we do see it in some research as well. Daryl, I think on the next slide, we see that, 64% of Canadian holiday shoppers say they will shop more at local small businesses. So that is encouraging.
Yeah, I think, John, that people understand that the retailers have been hurting and small businesses were hit inordinately hard by the pandemic. So, this isn't just like your local, chain store. These are like small mom and pop businesses or locally run businesses. People are cognizant of the fact that they need to support that community. So that's really really encouraging to see.
So, you should leverage your localness, tell local stories, relate to people on what's happening locally, so that, they see that you are in tune with what's happening in the community and they feel more in part of your store and your brand.
Well said, John. Leverage your localness. I love it.
So what can you do for the retail experience this year going into the holidays? Some suggestions would be, just don't think about just a discount or something to drive sales. Create an in-store project, for example, or some sort of art display that consumers and customers that come into the store can add to and help create. So like a communal project. You want to give your customers, you want to surprise and delight them. Think mint on a pillow at the hotel. Little small touches that cost very little if you're creative and you come up with something unique, but that are a memorable part of the experience that will bring them back. Free gift wrapping, obviously, is always a great added value for people. Just exceed the customer's expectations and make sure that you tailor the experience to the consumer and the customer that's in front of you. Everyone's on a different sort of level these days as far as their comfort level with interaction. You have to be cognizant of that, and you've got to be able to adapt in the moment and provide the experience that the consumer is asking for.
Yeah, I think just that people will appreciate the gesture, and they'll remember that, even if it's a small gesture, they're going to remember that far more than they're going to remember the 15% discount that they got.
Right, absolutely.
And by bending over backwards and doing those extra things, it's interesting data here from Salesforce. Like 91% of people say that good customer service is what keeps them coming back. So, we're talking about holiday marketing too, but we don't want things to dry up in January and February. We want that, that repeat business.
The 91%, we've got to pause on that for just a moment, because good customer service. Everyone says they've got good customer service, but we all know there's a lot of bad customer service out there. People don't put the thought and effort into that side of things. That, you know, if you want to improve your business, 91% say with a good customer experience, they're gonna come back. So, you know, that's something to really dwell on and to really think deeply with. Get your team involved and think about different ways that you can enhance the customer experience.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about how holiday shoppers are going to discover that you even exist. You know, they know that they need your product or your service, but they've never heard of your company before. So where do they turn? Yeah, they turn online, right? Whether it's, again, Facebook or Google. So I've got a couple just general tips and tricks for you. And the good news is they're free. I don't know if you're going to want to hear either one of them, but here we go. I always consider social media as kind of the necessary evil to be driving traffic, but just like fascinating data here from the Salesforce study. And this is information from the last holiday season. They saw a huge uptick in traffic to retailers' websites from social channels, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, you know, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. And not only that, the people that arrived at your website that originated you know, from social media, they tended to spend a longer time on your site than people that may have just stumbled across it organically or went directly to your site. And not only that, they were the ones that are more likely to place orders. So now, knowing this information that social media can improve the bottom line, you want to make sure that you've got your messaging there and that you're doing those promotions and driving traffic to your e-commerce store.
Absolutely. Yeah. The more engagement you can get, you know, on your social media, that's going to just build for the future for you, those possible sales down the road.
Yeah. Bear with me. So another thing you can do, and again, this is maybe information you don't want to hear, but it's so important and it's free. This is my Christmas gift to you. Improve your web content. It's valuable for a couple of reasons. Number one is if you have rich descriptions of your product and service and how you differentiate from your competitors and the problem that you solve for people or that your product solves for people, if you're able to articulate that with high value content, well, not only does it help your website visitors make an informed purchase, but it also helps in Google searches. And kind of what I'm talking about here is people discovering your website and your brand and your product. And if they happen to be turning to Google and those kind of searches, you want to be showing up on page one. And one of the most effective ways you can do that is to really shore up your high value written content. I've got a couple of free tools that you can use. You might want to, if you got a pen handy, you might want to scribble this down. Google Trends is one, and that's kind of interesting. If you're not exactly sure how people might search for your products, well, Google Trends will tell you not only over time the changes in popularity for those search terms, but you can put two against each other and see which one resonates more with people doing searches based on Google's actual data.
And really make sure that your writing reflects your brand and try to make it as real and human as possible too. Sometimes, you know, writing can be really stiff. We were taught through school a certain type of writing that is sort of, you know, a little bit formal and stiff. So, you know, try to use words that you would use in your language, your natural language, and keep it relatable. And as long as it fits your brand, whatever you write, make sure it does fit the brand essence that you try to convey.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily want to dumb it down. And one mistake we see people making all the time is trying to pander to Google. Don't do that. You write from the point of view of your customers. So if you can be helpful, that should be your compass is for your website visitors. The second tool I wanted to talk about is called Answer the Public. If you take a look at their site, and then all you need to do is just type in whatever your product is or whatever your service is, then Answer the Public mines through all this Google data to see how people are searching and searches that are related to whatever that topic is. So then knowing that, you'll get this whole long list of keywords and key phrases, and knowing like what the most popular ones are and how people are actually searching, then you can take those keywords and key phrases and sprinkle them into your web copy. So give those two a shot and really think about that in terms of getting your brand discovered this holidays. Now, up until now, everything has been very holly jolly, but I do have a Grinch that stole Christmas kind of a slide up here for you. And this one's kind of staggering. Again, information from Salesforce here that people had an 88% cart abandonment rate. So what I'm referring to there is if you have an e-commerce store, the people you've gone to the trouble to get people to discover your brand. They hit your website, they find the product that they're looking for, they put it in their cart, and then they say, I'm out. They bounce and they don't make the purchase, which is the whole, the thing that you want them to do. So why is that? And why is it so high on mobile? Well, there could be a few reasons. I think probably the number one reason, at least that I've seen, is that you need to remember people are comparing your e-commerce store with every purchase that they've ever made online. And if your store doesn't match like the best experiences they've had in e-commerce, they just don't have the patience. People have such short attention spans. They just won't, or if you've got a slow loading site, or if it's clunky in any way, they'll abandon your site and abandon their cart.
You would just think behavior when you're sitting at desktop versus mobile too. There might be a discrepancy there with, mobile is just more casual, sort of browsing, window shopping on the go. Whereas if desktop, there's more intent possibly with that. But that is a big difference. And, definitely what you mentioned, Daryl, the mobile experience, I think you were going to touch on as well. That will make a huge difference in the 70 to 88% abandonment rate, I think, right?
Yeah, and here's a screenshot. Where did I get that screenshot? At any rate, it's nicely laid out. I can see what I want. Your site has got to load quickly. It's got to have, the navigation has to be intuitive, and data indicates that it's going to be a mobile first holidays. Despite access to home computers, people are pulling out their phone and doing some shopping, or at least getting some ideas, or doing some searches starting off on the phone. So please make sure your mobile site
absolutely
is up to snuff. And again, back to that point I made earlier, is when you're checking out your own site on your smartphone, do it as though you're seeing it for the very first time through the eyes of a customer that has never been to your site before.
Yeah. That's a great piece of advice, Daryl. Now, before we move on, I think I was just going to check in with Mackenzie to see if we do have any questions up to this point.
Yeah, we have a couple questions here, but I believe they could wait till the end. They're not really relevant to this topic, so feel free to move forward. Perfect.
So next, let's take a look at some promotion ideas that you can implement or consider for this year as well. There's a new BOGO. Instead of buy one, get one, buy one, give one. A lot of people, during the holidays especially, have a feeling of giving and charity and altruism. So, if you set up a promotion where they buy one for themselves and then you donate one to someone who needs one, that's a great way to sort of spur interest in your brand. A donation per purchase, same sort of thing, to a special cause, and then referral incentives for each person. Perhaps you could incentivize them to use a hashtag and post about their experience with your brand, and then you can reach out to them and offer them something special at that point as well. And don't be shy about asking customers to tell their friends and family about the experience they had. If you don't ask, they won't do. So it never hurts to, ask for referrals, ask for people to talk about them and see if any of their other friends would be interested in what they're doing. Just try anything, really. And Daryl, some social media contests might be a good idea as well. Those definitely draw, like you said, in some of that data, they definitely spur increased business. Partnering with a local complementary business, it's a multiplier effect. So this strategy would be possibly, for example, an olive oil store partnering with a bakery. So they have complementary sort of products and services and customers, but they also have individual sort of databases, hopefully, of customers that you can share and cross promote with. So see what other businesses are out there that are that would add value to what you're doing, and see if there's a partnership in certain promotional opportunities or even advertising. And then the last idea is make sure that you give them a reason to come back in January. So if they're shopping with you during the holidays, whether it's maybe a new product launch that's coming in January or a discount that applies only after a certain date, build in those opportunities for people to come back. Give them a reason.
Yeah, you've hit on something there, John, with thinking about not just the holiday season, but beyond the holidays and getting that repeat business. And some really interesting insights here, just about loyalty and repeat business, and getting customers not only this Christmas, but also January, February, March of next year. Think about doing some sort of loyalty program if you can. The overwhelming majority of consumers are swayed by those loyalty programs, and it doesn't have to be like a Starbucks or Tim Hortons level app on your phone. It could be something as simple as like a punch card. Buy 6 and your next one's free. But if you can get creative, people will reward you with that repeat business after the holidays.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, a few other things to consider for after the holidays is, that database that you hopefully can collect during the holidays, to use it to provide extra perks, write notes of appreciation. But collecting customer contact information is key. And I think for me personally, texting strategy is really something that everyone should be looking at how to implement. I think the 99% open rate on texts, and I believe it's 97% of all texts are open within the first 15 minutes that they're sent. So the engagement through text is huge. However, I think where people get into trouble with any texting strategy with customers is they overuse it and they try to sell too hard. So if you're able to build a text database of your customers and potential customers and use it well, use it creatively, have some fun, don't overuse it. Be very sparing with the use of your text. But if you have a meaningful reason to reach out to your customers by text, do it in a fun, compelling, creative way, and you will get response.
And I think if you've got an e-commerce store, you've already got a built-in way of getting that customer contact information, and it's so critical to send that that thank you note, not just all the nuts and bolts of your product has been shipped or your product is ready for pickup, but the actual hey, thank you, and by the way, here's a little promo for the new year.
Mm-hmm. So we've been really focused on retail and direct to consumer businesses, but there's also B2B. So what sort of strategies can you implement in your B2B business during the holidays that are going to help you get into next year? Number one, reach out to all your customers during the holidays. Tell them you appreciate their business. Thank them for doing business with you over the year. Send a sign of appreciation, cards, a letter, handwritten items. You want to strengthen your relationship. Send a personal video message if you can't see them face to face. There's a great Chrome extension called Vidyard, which allows you to quickly record video on your computer over top of whatever screen you have on your computer. So you can call up your client's website and you can be in a little hole in the middle as a video message and send that to them. So try some different creative things. And, there's
another, I was just going to interject, John. Yeah, there's another tool that I think I heard of at the Sandbox first, but it's called Loom, L-O-O-M. Okay. And same kind of thing. You just do a quick little message and you can embed that into an email, even just so you get a little bit more of a personal, a personal approach, that kind of face-to-face.
Yeah, and if you want to take the Michael Scott philosophy as well, a gift basket is probably the best thing you can ever give anybody ever, right? So, be the smile that they remember next year, do something that's going to make you stand out from some other vendors. And it doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to take a lot of time. It just takes a little bit of thought about what the person that you're sending to would appreciate.
So we've reached, you kind of have covered a lot of the things that we had wanted to talk about today, and just, certainly some things that hopefully you've taken away from today's presentation. And I think we've got lots of room for some Q&A at the end of this. But again, it's not business as usual and it's not even the same as last year. No. Or obviously the year before that. Like, things are different. I think we are headed for a very robust holiday shopping season, whether that's retail or business to business. It's just, you have to remember, things are going to be different, and that online component is going to be huge. So you got to think about your entire online presence, not just your website or your e-commerce store, but how you're doing on your Google reviews and your Facebook reviews and your social media and all of that.
Mm-hmm. You want to acknowledge and show that you appreciate every single customer that comes in and that does business with you. You enhance the shopping experience. Like we said, it's all about creating an experience that people are going to remember, they're going to value. And also the fact that, they're used to have to just think about the mind of the customer or the mind of your customer. Well, now there's not just a single mind of your customer, because it's been so fragmented into comfort levels on different things. You have to think about different ways to service different customers to their specific needs and wants. So the task is large, the task is hard, but it's worth it if you actually dig in and create a strategy that you're going to move forward with.
So we'll wrap there. John and I are very approachable. We covered a lot of ground today. So if you want to reach out, you've got our personal emails, you got our business emails. Anyways, yeah, we're happy to field any questions or help you along that way. And, even though we're rapidly approaching that kind of the Black Friday season, it's not too late to get some of those strategies implemented.
Absolutely.
And Mackenzie, I understand that there were a couple of questions that had filtered in.
Yeah, absolutely. That was incredible. Thank you so much. I feel like I got so much out of it. I took quite a few notes actually, and I have a couple questions from my perspective, if you don't mind asking first, and then we'll dive in to those questions. I know a few of the registrants pre-submitted some questions, which is awesome as well. Just a couple things that really stuck out to me was first that stat that was 86% of people are ready to be back in store and shopping and having that in-store experience. Do you think that is kind of based on the fact of the supply chain right now and where like shipping and delivery is going to be backed up? So people are kind of relying on going back into the store and getting their shopping done so they don't have to worry about those delays? And is that something that businesses?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, Mackenzie. I think that may be part of it. My inclination is that it's more sentimental than that. There's just that pent up demand for that face to face and doing things the way that they have always done it. But I think in the back of their people's mind, it's like, yeah, if I can actually get it on a shelf, and then that way I don't have to worry about like,
delivery, not making it there for Christmas. Yeah, absolutely. And that I have heard that from a few people already this year on the supply chain issue. Like if you see something, but you buy it immediately, you're not only going to get that in a week or two because you don't know if it'll be there. And that feeling is out there for people. So, and that may be contributing also to the early spending and the earlier spending that we're seeing as a trend too, right?
Right. Yeah. Because I wasn't sure if that's something that either like local small business owners should take into consideration as well. Probably, like, I'm not sure how certain, like when they're dealing with their e-commerce promotions and if that's going to affect them in terms of just who they're using for delivery. But I feel like also with the pandemic, a lot of people have adopted the curbside pickup, which is really, really something that is worth it to people, and going to just quickly, whether it's after work or on their lunch, they can go and grab whatever they ordered quickly and efficiently. So,
and it's amazing how people quickly adapted to new ways of doing business and embraced them. And some people preferred these new ways too, right? So that goes back to being able to provide different levels of service for different people and giving them a variety of options to do business with you.
Right. So another thing, John, you mentioned was that SMS marketing, so the text marketing. I was recently on a digital marketing conference, and that is a huge consumer trend, and for the future, SMS marketing and for businesses really adopting that because it's easy, accessible, and it can be conversational and personalized.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I love how you touched on the fact where if you have to do it right though, because it could be seen as annoying or disruptive, etc. But it could also be seen as a relationship building tool for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all probably are aware of texts from businesses that didn't get it right,
Yeah.
or, anyone trying to reach out. But there's a certain way to be casual and fun with a text that can really make it reminds me of there's a newsletter called The Hustle. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with, but I read it almost daily. They sucked me in, and my first communication with them ever, I think, was an email or something, but the way it was written was so natural speaking, and it connected with me. And I've spoken to other people that kind of got that same impression from that brand. So that's a good example of, and their newsletter writing is just fun to read, and casual, and you don't feel like they're selling you anything, and that's really the key. So be delicate and careful with text messaging, but that's a big beast to harness power from. If you can get it right, big opportunity.
Yeah, and it's interesting because also I saw that for certain systems that you can adopt for the SMS marketing, it can easily integrate into your CRM so that you can build your customer base and continue and not have to worry about what are the semantics involved, and am I going to be disorganized and keeping track of things. So there's some pretty cool platforms out there that I just saw. So I'm going to be looking that up soon. But that was it for quiz. I have a couple things, but I'd rather get into some of the questions here that are popping up. So that's awesome. I'll quickly look in the chat here. I saw Paris is looking up Loom right now. No waiting. Don't wait, Paris. Loom is so cool. The team here at the Sandbox has recently adopted it and we love it. So Trent, are promotional contests your business is running for the holidays deliverable over social media? I heard that Facebook doesn't allow them.
Yeah, this sounds like a Daryl question, but I don't have an answer. We've got a team of social media experts at the office, so it's one of those things. It looks like Trent had asked about that. I may have to investigate that one.
I know
but Facebook does have some pretty clear rules, and they can be finicky and remove posts and that kind of thing.
I think, it really comes down to your wording. I know I've seen a lot of different contests where if you insert that this contest is not affiliated with Instagram or this contest is not affiliated with Facebook, and you kind of have to be careful about your wording as far as that goes. So then you can kind of squirm around the requirements, but.
Yeah, and if you had some creative already drawn up, Trent, and you wanted just to send that my way, I can check with our team to see what their opinion is.
So somebody's asking here, a purchase tied to charitable donation, does it move the needle?
So that's an interesting one. Well, I don't know about donation, just like cash donation, although that could work. But I think about that. That sneaker company Tom's that. They were wildly successful, and they weren't donating money. It was a shoe for a shoe, right? Or a pair of shoes for you buy a pair of shoes, and then another pair of shoes goes to someone in need. And boy, did people ever respond to that. So depending on what your product and service is, I think something meaningful along those lines, as opposed to, well, we donate. For every purchase, we don't donate $1 to the Berry Food Bank. Well, that's great, but if there could be something a little bit more sort of creative and
if you can demonstrate a direct impact of that little gesture, then that'll have value. And you're always going to move the needle with a certain amount of your audience are going to feel motivated by that. Some won't, but it depends on the customers you do business with. If you think a lot of them will, then it's worth exploring that, I think.
I love that. And I love, John, when you mentioned forget buy one, get one, it's buy one, give one now. So I think that's such a catchy way to really attract customers to getting into that giving back mentality. Another question here, are shipping costs expected to be free when online shopping?
You need to give your customers options. No, I don't think there is necessarily that expectation of free, but people want options. People want the option to pick it up. They want the option for curbside delivery or for local delivery. What I would recommend is depending on your product, you have a certain threshold. There's got to be a minimum spend. or maybe a free standard delivery, but expedited, the way Amazon might do it. If you want it by Tuesday, you got to pay for it. But if you're okay with next Friday, then it's free. But I think that the dollar threshold, if you've got a little bit sort of built in for shipping, that if they spend $50 or whatever it is, but right out of the gate, I wouldn't necessarily give that away, again, depending on your product. So
yeah, that's a great point. Have that threshold, spend this amount and you qualify for free shipping. I think that's always a great strategy to go with too.
Right. So following that, then are you guys able to comment kind of on somebody's asking delivery expectations of consumers? So is it days or weeks? And I mean, that obviously could also depend on maybe who the courier you're using, or I'm not sure, but if you guys have any insights.
There's it's funny because there are studies that are showing that there sometimes delivery is faster than customers need it, which sounds a little counterintuitive. But is it a convenience item? Is if it's an immediate item, they're going in store. Usually when people order something, they want it quickly, but maybe it's the type of product that they don't need on their doorstep, like in 24 hours.
Right. And then guaranteed delivery by Christmas is something, that obviously people want to ensure. So if it is something intended for Christmas, they don't need it tomorrow, but they do need a guarantee they're going to have it before Christmas. So that might be hard to provide this year too, right? That guarantee might be hard depending on who you're using as your shipping method and so on.
It's so true. I look for that all the time. And if the company does have that on the checkout page or something, and it is past, then I'll try to look for another product right away, but I'll still stay on their website. But it's really helpful that they do kind of have that timeline baked in there for you. That's awesome. Somebody is asking how much social media posting during the season is too much. So
it's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, even with email marketing, I know right now I'm getting, even for my personal email, how many emails I'm getting a day from the Bay, from so many. I get one email a day or more from so many people. And I mean, I'm not going to unsubscribe, but it does get a lot. And so even with social media, I guess, what would you guys say?
I mean, you have to tread lightly. And again, if you can empathize with your clients and pretend that you are one of them, how often would you want to be solicited to? And it's not just the frequency of social media posts. I would argue that perhaps more importantly is the message that you're delivering. And John touched on this earlier, that you don't want to be all sales all the time, or you're going to have the unintended consequence of turning people off. I think you've got to have a healthy mix. And by having a healthy mix, it does allow you to go a little bit more frequently. So that every post isn't just sale, promotion, right? So some of it is more like human interest type posting. And then that way you can get away with a higher publishing frequency.
Yeah. And as only 10% of your followers on your account are going to see that post anyway. So, if you use Daryl's strategy, be different and make sure the messages are good. I think you can increase your frequency during the holidays without too much negative effect.
Right. No, that's really helpful. Bundled items, good strategy. Gift box items, are they popular?
I love bundled items. I love free gifts with and all of those things. I think those are the surprise and delight category, where a lot of times you're not expecting it maybe, but even if you are expecting it, you're seeing an extra value add to your purchase, and that is a thing I think it's valuable to add to your strategy for sure.
If you are new to merchandising, are the holidays a good time to start a promotional campaign, or is it better to build it up at this time?
Well, we are running out of runway, aren't we, on the holidays? So if it's a type of campaign that you need to have some creative work done and some graphics and that kind of thing, that knowing that people are ramping up for Black Friday, that's only a couple weeks, not even a couple weeks away, right? So, I would suggest the holidays are probably a perfect time, but depending how quickly you can get up and running, because really the best time to have done that would have been maybe last week. But if you scramble a little bit, I'd say do it it doesn't mean you can't see how that goes during the holidays and then replicate it in some way, shape, or form, in the spring again.
Yeah. I say start a promotion as soon as you can, as long as you might be new to merchandising, but as long as your brand is set and all those pieces are set, your brand identity, then yeah, start promoting day one. Like it's the faster, the sooner, the better. Because that's what's going to drive new eyeballs on your interest, and that's going to start growing your brand. Promotions will do that.
For sure. And I feel like even from another perspective, maybe your business thrives around Valentine's Day and not Christmas. So there's other, like we're talking about here, seasonal approaches. So you could obviously, maybe the holidays aren't the right time for your business. Maybe there's another holiday that is better suited for the way that your business, what products, your services you have to offer. So you can start then as well.
Absolutely. I love being different, like just being different from your competitors or anybody else. Like there's so much out there that, unless you stand out in some way, you can just blend into the noise, right? So, I've always loved the idea of having a St. Patrick's Day sale in January or whatever, you know what I mean? Like just do something different, have the, Halloween in the springtime, have something, just do something to stand out, as long as it fits your brand. You don't want to go outrageous and go against what your brand sort of essence is. But if you've got a brand and customers that appreciate fun and originality and creativity, just try things, be brave, give it a go. Your customers are changing. You're not going to lose a lot of business. And, sometimes when you try things, they don't work, but you don't know until you try. So I really encourage people to think differently and try things that are very different and very unique.
I love that. I feel like this question kind of sums up actually what you just said, John, but somebody's asking, what does winning copy and graphic design look like for holiday marketing?
Yeah. Daryl, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I love copywriting that is fresh and a little bit playful. I gave a presentation on e-commerce just the other day, and I had referenced an e-commerce site. I think is it called Harry's? They're like a shave club or something like that. And they just did a spectacular job on their copywriting. And earlier I alluded to like really rich, high value content for your writers. But I mean, just in some of the small print, they're talking about their razors, it's, the razors are the best looking thing in your bathroom other than you. But it was just like, it was a fun way of doing it. And it wasn't just listing product specifications and product dimensions and that kind of thing. So I would err on the side of being creative and maybe just a little bit playful with that copy. Graphic design, looking at the slide that's on the screen now, we got a giant picture of Santa, right? I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the best message for everyone, with just being sensitive around the holidays, about Christmas and other faiths. But I think you can do that tastefully and still embody the holiday season.
Yeah. I'll provide one just copywriting tip too, and that is using verbs, using actions, be visual in your writing, write so that people can create a picture in their mind of something happening or a feel, you know what I mean? So verbs are actions, so you can visualize actions. So that's something to think about when you are writing copy. How is someone going to process this and imagine this as they're reading it? And are those the images you want them to create, or is the image rich enough for them to sort of be moved by it as well? So
yeah, I love that point. It's funny, on the other online session I was on, they were kind of saying, like, think about it as a letter you're writing to your customer, and think about holiday action words so that actually evoke or consider the emotion that your holiday message should evoke. So whether it's give, gift, indulge, treasure, enjoy, or cherish, like there's so many different words. And then, especially John, with the radio industry, if people are, they're in the shopping mode, they're in their cars, they're a lot of businesses now play the radio online or on their speaker system as well. So that just really, when you hear them, you feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to engage the listener for sure. You know,
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because also the session, there was a sentence that really stuck out to me, and it was your holiday message should feel like the gift that your customer really wanted. And for that structure, for kind of unwrapping that message, is evoke empathy, tell a story, and surprise and delight. And I feel like you guys totally touched on all of those things today, which was so helpful to unpack in 3 different ways, whether it was for your brand, for your online, or for your in-person experience. So that was incredibly helpful to hear. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
There's a question here, Cody, will we get the slides from today? Absolutely. I will be sending all of the participants recording and the slides as well from today's session. Thank you all for joining us today. John, Daryl, it's a pleasure. I love being with you guys.
So much fun. Thanks everybody for coming and joining us.
It was a great session. Thank you guys so much for joining. Our EIR sessions varies, like I said, from month to month. Getting into December, we'll be gearing up for the new year. I can't believe it's around the corner. It's crazy, but wishing you all a safe holiday season ahead, a fun one, and stay connected with us on social. Same with NetGain and Central Ontario Broadcasting. We love engaging with you guys. So head to sandboxcenter.com if you have any questions. I'll be providing John and Daryl's information as well if you'd like to get connected to them. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week and hope to see you soon.
Nice. Peace, everybody.
Take care.